Sup dudes and everybody else, how are you all doing as the school year begins and summer nears its end? I'm sure everyone's loving it, just like they're loving this 4.6 update, right? LOL. Half joking cause I know some like it and some don't, but personally these balance changes seem like they're doing its job in terms of shaking up the meta for the most part. It's still only been a week into the patch, but so far I've seen lots of people comment about how Heli Pilot is making its way into a lot of strategies, so in this video I'm going to put that to the test. As always, Tyler will be my companion for the entirety of this video, although if you gave me a choice of playing with my butt buddy or versus random arena opponents, I'd go with the latter. Not because our relationship is going sour, but you know, sometimes you don't want to wait for one person to be available and would rather just jump straight into a queue at my own leisure. So with that said, why not do that for this vid? Two things. One is something I pretty much mention every single Battles update. I only ever play quick battles on my secondary account, which is connected to the Windows 10 version of Battles, and Windows 10 is always the last platform to receive the update cause nobody likes Microsoft. So at the time I'm commentating this, which is somewhere around Thursday night/Friday morning, Windows 10 still hasn't received the update, so at that point it isn't worth waiting any longer. I got videos on the schedule to pump out, you know, and I think it's a good idea to take a tiny gap from all the modding videos and please the other side of the crowd for the first time in a while. Secondly, even if Windows 10 had received the update in a timely manner, it wouldn't have mattered cause on the Thursday of this week Ninja Kiwi decided to make Moab Pit a random trio arena, leaving Ceramic Crucible as the highest classic arena. No thanks if you ask me. I'd much rather wait for Tyler than get a majority of low-level games on film. So, how about we actually start talking about what this video is about? I must warn you that these first few games are pretty messy, so don't judge the book by its cover. If you've ever used a Heli Pilot in a serious game, then you'll probably know controlling its positioning is really freaking awkward. That game in particular was my third time using the Heli Pilot, so I did have some sort of idea what I'm doing, but bad targeting of the Heli Pilots is what made the death of me. I know you can't see now, but I had two Razor rotors, one of which was set on pursuit and the other one set to lock in place. I can tell you right now that pursuit is not to be relied on, cause just look at this picture. The very far right heli is the one on pursuit, yet it's still way at the front and not chasing the balloons at the end of the track. Now lock/patrol in place isn't too bad an option if the Heli Pilot has Razor rotors, but by doing that you're severely limiting the range of the tower, so you better have some backup towers to clean up balloons that get past them unless you think you can quickly change to the proper targeting when being rushed. That leaves us with follow mouse/touch, which is what you'll want your Heli Pilot to be on for most of the early game, because simply put it's the most reliable option. You just have to be really careful where you hover your mouse over your screen if you're on Steam or where you tap if you're on mobile. From the little experience so far, I can tell you mixing sending balloons and controlling the Heli Pilot is a pain in the ass on Steam. But a little trick to make things easier when you do want to send something is to move your mouse off the screen to wherever you want to lock the tower in place. For example, in this Waddle Resorts game, you probably saw the Heli Pilot chilling in the top right corner, hiding under the boost many times even when set on follow mouse. That's cause I moved my mouse outside of the screen in this area. Probably the best spot to idle it on this map if you ask me. It'll instantly start firing at any rush that comes my way, and if it does get overwhelmed I can immediately starting microing the Heli Pilot, compare that to locking it in place and then trying to scramble to find the correct targeting. Anyways, enough about targeting, let's talk loadouts. A lot of people are saying either Ice or Ace is best paired with Heli and Farm, and I would have to agree. However, I've deviated from that this match and decided to see how boats would fare instead. And why boat? Cause its early game is beast. If you bring ice or ace, you always have to save up 1200 for the heli after your farm, and that means you tank the entirety of round 1. Not the end of the world, because one single road spike takes care of it all, but starting off with a boat means saving all of those road spikes, plus leaving you with extra money to upgrade your farm faster than if you started with heli. May sound like a good idea from how I describe it, but honestly I think you'd be better off with a stronger late-game tower, because once you actually get up to 1200 for the pilot you're actually pretty much set and will be able to catch up on farms. If your opponent is blind and doesn't notice like Tyler in a lot of these games, you can actually get away with just a 0-0 heli pilot up until round 6, at which point you just need to spend 600 on quad darts, ending up with a grand total of just $1,800 spent. Damn, that's cheap. I don't believe it can solo constant greens on its own though, so if your opponent does go that aggressive then you'll need to build something else. We'll talk more about early game strategy in the next game. For now watch as we approach late game ZOMG territory. Somehow Tyler is miraculously still in this game with just 1 life left. But it looks like he's pretty boned because he went for the stronger early/mid game in Boomerang and Boat. Boomerangs are in a pretty weird spot right now, cause their mid game is just batshit crazy and it's impossible to get past them unless your opponent messes up super hard, but come late game it's about as useless as a waterproof towel. And with just space for 5 boats at most, it's safe to say who wins this one. Although it ends up much closer than I thought because I was trying my damnedest to find room to fit Apache heli pilots, but its footprint is just so damn huge. Like you wouldn't believe my reaction when I found out you couldn't fit a single heli pilot inside of the brown Boomerang area, and no, I didn't use my 4th tower to fill up that space because I want to show you guys how I go about using the heli without having to rely on my random tower. Anyways, moving on to the next game, this is another offside match but trust me, it won't end up with the same result. I've learned from those mistakes. Let me just quickly take this short downtime to discuss MLG intros. Glad you liked the last one for the most part. They're my favorite part of video production to be honest. Last video I briefly asked for any future songs you would like to see me ruin, cover, and I didn't get many suggestions, but the ones I will get I will answer right now. Entangled by Genesis, sorry, I have no idea what that song is so it's safe to say I won't use that one. For the record, all 12 song intros I've used so far have 1, been something I already knew, and 2, either I liked it, found it super relevant to the theme of the intro, or found a good way to make it relevant by twisting the words. Next and last one, Pumped Up Kicks. This one I know and I definitely have it on my radar. Now if only the Cobra was good enough to warrant using in a video, we'll see. Okay, so where were we with this one? So by bringing ice along with heli, you can pretty much defend everything until round 11 with a very minimal and cheap costing defense, but once 11 hits you'll have to get a ton of shit up in order to avoid using a boost and getting all out rushed on round 13. If anything, that's probably the most vulnerable point in the game for the heli pilot, so it's important to play cautiously. Tyler actually gets an unnecessary boost out of me on round 13, so as you would guess he went for a killing blow, and watch what happens. Surprisingly, 2 Razor rotor pilots plus an extra quad darts was enough to defend, not to mention both of the Razor rotors were put on pursuit as well, not as a result of me changing the targeting but because it automatically changes targeting to pursuit when you purchase the upgrade, much like when submarines get submerged when you get the reactor, except for the fact that submerging it is always the best option, pursuit not so much. So that's game right there. I have one more game to show you which demonstrates how heli does late game, so let's dive right in. Now I brought ice again for this run, but in hindsight, Ace or Super Monkey would have been a better option because they actually outperform ice despite losing the 50% slow power, Apaches is pretty much your only popping power late game, doesn't quite get you super far, and interestingly enough the Heli Pilot is sort of like the Dart Monkey 2.0 in the sense that it's possible to survive with just that one tower for the early to mid game. A bit of a stretch perhaps, since defending all-out rushes with Dart is more reliable, but a lot of the time I bet people won't have the balls to do that, and if that happens then boom, all of a sudden you have a better late game versus Dart. Gee, 10 minutes in and I still have so much to say about the Heli Pilot. I guess we'll have to save that for the next installment of this series, so keep on the lookout for that. I wouldn't consider myself to have mastered this strategy yet, so take this gameplay with a grain of salt, but it's at least a good indicator of judging the strengths and weaknesses, and so far it looks like it can hold its own versus Dart farm strategies pretty well. Neither of us tested with Ninja Mortar, but I would assume it's the same story. I haven't heard as many people crying wolf about that strategy lately, so I guess it isn't the clear-cut best strategy now. Peacing out, remember to like and subscribe, although I like to hope that's a given and I don't have to say it every time for you to do that, LOL. Have a flying day.